This technique consists of two parts, okay? It consists of division and conquest. So what does this mean? Basically, do you remember that I talked about you having an input that has n elements? A class that has 100 adds is 100 is the number of people, elements that you will deal with. The quantity n is that number of objects that you will deal with in your problem. And then sometimes when you apply this technique, you can do it faster. And how is it based?
Yeah.
Well, you have a problem that you want to solve, but try to solve that same problem using a smaller piece of this input or a few smaller pieces. When you do that, that's the division part. You separately solve your smaller problems with smaller instances of your problem. You separate them into subproblems. Then comes the achievement part, which is, once you know the solution to this part, do you know the solution to this part? When you bring the two parts and their solutions together, you can obtain a solution to your global problem. It is with this intuition that we apply this technique. It is like, why is this better? Let's see some examples. Before we look at some examples, as a curiosity, this term has existed since antiquity. Since the wars of Julius Caesar, it already existed. There was talk about divide and conquer since before Christ, and because it exists not only in computing but in several other areas. But what does this mean in a war? Well, sometimes you can dominate your opponent by picking up the pieces. So, in the sense of you think you're fighting, you have a battle there. There's a patrol there that you're going to win. When you can divide it, sometimes it's much easier to conquer it all. Do you understand this? Do you see this? Or when everyone is together, even leaving the context of war, everyone is together. It's a united group. It's a group that is always studying together. If you fail, it's much more difficult. Now, when everyone is separated, someone is over there, someone else is over here, nothing is united, you are divided. Failing is very easy, much easier or much less difficult, depending on the difficulty of the subject.
Né? Beleza?
The other context where this appears a lot, this appears here in The Art of War, right? That book that is knowledge. Exist. Who watched Civil War? Marvel's Civil War there. Do you remember the central arc there from that story? It's a war that starts to exist between Tony Stark and Captain America, right? They cause internal discord within their Avengers team, right? So much so that there is one half that is sidelined in favor of the other half that is in favor of the other. What ends up in this? It breaks the very institution of the Avengers, right? They separated, went to one corner, another to the other corner. Everyone was on their own. That is not what happened. Yes. Now let's think if you watched it, right? Why was there this war between them? It was because Tony Stark discovered that the Winter Soldier there, Captain America's best friend, right? He killed his parents. Then it got crazy. He wanted to kill the Winter Soldier, and Captain America didn't want him to kill him. And then they started fighting. Basically that, right? Remember that? So let's go back a little, okay? We already understand how it ended. We already understood what led to the war. Now, how did it come to light at that moment? Do you remember why? And then you see how this technique is applied in the film. Why? What led to disagreement between them? It was a guy who was from Hydra, that's it. And what was he? He was crazy at Hydra, right? But he wasn't super powerful. He couldn't finish them off. That's it. But he had a family that was in Sokovia, or whatever the name of that place was, and that in the first Avenger, which had Ultron, right? Sokovia that? There was Ultron, the city rose, wasn't it? Something like that. It all collapsed. A lot of people died. This guy's family died in this war against Ultron there. And he got crazy. He got pistol. And what did he want to do? He wanted to end the constitution of the Avengers. Did he have the power to end the Avengers? He was nothing. He was an ordinary person. So what did he do? He managed to get him to finish each other off.
Né?
So he managed to create internal discord between them. He disclosed it there. He already knew what it had been like. He just showed it. With that, he was already done. He was even going to kill himself at the end of the film, right? Because he was already calm. He was calm there because he managed to finish off the Avengers. Then the guy came there and finished him off. No, you will be arrested. It was kind of something like that, right? That was the Black Patera and such. Anyway, look.
Olha,
This will become a cut. Go to YouTube there. It was me here summarizing the film. What a great show. So do you understand? That's where divide and conquer comes in. First, you will generate cord in that sense, right? You'll want to share something.